Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, right? I say the same thing every video, but welcome back to the 2021 part of this school year. Okay, so I hope everybody had a great holiday, a very safe New Year's, and we are back now with my favorite. I know I said that back in 2020, but really my favorite unit of the year. Okay, so this unit is going to be a mix of science and writing. Okay, we are going to be learning all about penguins. Penguins. Okay, so why I say it's a mix of a science and a writing unit. Basically, we're going to be scientists who research penguins. Okay, everything about penguins. And after we're done researching and we're finding out all the information about penguins, we are going to start to become writers. And you are going to write your own informational book about penguins, where you're going to be the teacher. Okay, you're going to teach your reader everything you learned about penguins. Okay, well, today we are going to read for a specific reason. Today we are going to read to find out the body parts of a penguin. Okay, so I have another Gail Gibbons book. We know that Gail Gibbons is informational text. Can everyone say that with me? Good job. We know that she uses illustrations as opposed to photographs. She's just unique, okay? I'm not going to read the whole book today. We're only going to read about half of it to find out the body parts of a penguin. Sound good, scientists? All set? I hear you screaming, you bet. All right, penguins. Here come the penguins, straight and tall. They walk with a waddle, yet they look stately and dignified. Okay, so people say that basically penguins look like they're wearing a tuxedo at all times. Okay, and a tuxedo is basically like a suit, but a step up that a male would wear. Okay, it usually has like the bow tie, it's black and white. People would wear them for weddings, very, very fancy events. Okay, so people like to say that penguins look like they're wearing a tuxedo. They look fancy, right, at all times. Okay, now let's put this in our brain and save this for our schema. There are 17 different kinds of penguins, okay? So again, put that in your brain. 17 different kinds of penguins. The smallest is the little blue, okay? And here's little blue. Sometimes they call little blue the fairy as well, but little blue. It is about 1 foot, 30 centimeters tall. The biggest of all penguins is the emperor penguin, standing almost 4 feet tall. Here's the emperor, okay? So let's talk about that. Most people, when they think of penguins, the picture that pops in their mind is the emperor penguin. Okay, he is the most famous of all the penguin species out there, and they look like they're the big tall ones. They're the ones that waddle. They're the ones in Antarctica. And when they're saying they're almost about 4 feet tall, that's about the size of a first grader. Okay, so some of you might be a little bit taller than an emperor penguin. Some of you might be a little bit shorter than an emperor penguin. Some of you might just be about right, okay? But imagine that. Imagine this penguin, okay? A flightless bird, the only flightless bird in the world, being as tall as you. Just think about that. Just like, I want you to visualize a big penguin next to you and it being about the same height as you. Right? All penguins have black and bluish gray backs and white bellies. Okay, so let's talk about that again. All penguins have black or bluish gray backs and white bellies. It does not matter the species, okay? And we see this in the picture, right? We see they all have black backs and white bellies, okay? It does not matter if it is the little blue, the littlest, or the emperor, the biggest. The patterns around their necks and heads are what make them look different. Some have colorful patches. Others show off brightly colored crests. Okay, everyone touch your head. Go crest. Good. Okay, the crest is going to be basically the top of a penguin's head. But they all have the same basic body shape and characteristics. Okay, so again, kind of, we see the macaroni penguin here. All kids usually love the macaroni penguin. And his crest kind of has that hair. Okay, so far we learned they have what color backs? Black. Good. What color bellies? White. What do they have on the top of their head? Crest. Good job, everybody. Now, they also, if we take a look at this diagram right here, okay, we also see they have eyes, okay, they also have wings, they also have a tail, and they also have webbed feet, and they have a beak or a bill. all penguins are found in the southern hemisphere. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Does everyone see the world, the earth right here? Okay, see this line down the middle? This is called the equator. Can everyone say the equator? Good. The equator is basically an imaginary line that splits the earth, which is a sphere, into two hemispheres, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. Okay, we live in the northern hemisphere. Okay, we live in the United States, part of the northern hemisphere. So penguins, unless they're a part of a zoo or an aquarium, they're not going to be found here. Okay, you're not just going to go to the park one day and see a penguin out in the wild. Okay, they do not live in the northern hemisphere. They're only found in the southern hemisphere. Now, this is what I think is mind-blowing about penguins. Every year, I ask kids, well, where do penguins live? And they're like, in cold places, Mrs. Dietrich, in the southern hemisphere, Mrs. Dietrich. Half true. Ready? Pinky drum roll. It is half true, like I said. So the southern hemisphere, yes, has places like Antarctica where it is very, very, very cold. It also, though, has warm places like Australia, like the Galapagos Islands. Okay, so some penguins actually live in warm weather. The water around them always has to be cold, but the land can be very warm. Isn't that crazy? I have to tell you guys a funny story. So last year I was doing this unit with the kids, right? And I had a parent message me on Class Dojo, and they were like, Mrs. Dietrich, I just got in a fight with my 6-year-old. And I was like, okay, why'd you get in a fight? Over penguins. I'm like, uh-oh, what happened with the penguins, right? So she's like, I told my daughter that penguins only live in cold places. And my daughter started visibly fighting me about it and screaming at me that they can live in warm places because you told her that. I was like, did you Google it? It's true. And so she did. And she was like, oh, she was shocked. It was so funny. Okay. So the Adelie and the emperor penguin never leave Antarctica. Okay. So again, the penguin that we always think of, the emperor and the Adelie, okay, they're never going to leave Antarctica. Others live in New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, South America, and the Galapagos Islands, and many others. Okay, and we see a picture. So again, some penguins, depending on their species, can live in warm places. Okay, the emperor penguin, the most famous, that's an Antarctic penguin. Penguins are birds, but they lost their ability to fly millions of years ago. Over time, they began to spend a lot of time hunting for food in frigid waters. Frigid's cold. Everyone show me what frigid means. Ooh, cold. Their wings changed into powerful ridged flippers for swimming. Okay? So, again, penguins lost their ability to fly millions of years ago. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago when we were talking about animals surviving. Okay? Because of where penguins live near the water, and because of what they eat, fish, krill, shrimp, okay, because of their predators, like the sea lion, okay, and the snow leopard and polar bears and stuff like that, they needed to be able to swim. So they lost their ability to fly and their wings became flippers. So that is why penguins are the only flightless bird, because they need to be able to swim in order to survive. And they are actually champion swimmers. They are extremely, extremely fast swimmers. They are excellent at diving. Okay, and so they were able to adapt to their surroundings. Okay, penguins have sleek, smooth bodies that glide easily through the water. They are excellent swimmers and divers. Larger ones can swim as fast as 25 miles an hour. The emperor penguin can dive deeper than any other bird, about 1,500 feet. Okay. Groups of penguins may stay at sea for weeks at a time. They leap in graceful arcs across the water to grab breaths of air, okay, because they are not fish, okay? A penguin is a bird, so they do have lungs. Everyone go like this, go, good, just like us. They need oxygen. They don't have gills. They can't stay underwater, so that's why they'll come up to get air, similar to dolphins. Penguins feed underwater on krill, fish, and other sea creatures. Their natural enemies are fur and leopard seals, sea lions, sharks, and killer whales. When penguins want to leave the water, they can leap up to as much as 6 feet. So that is way taller than me. Onto a rocky shore or iceberg. They climb rocks easily, hopping from one to another. Sometimes penguins speed over snow and ice by dropping on their bellies and sliding. Okay, so we're gonna end right, oh, hold on, no we're not. Sorry, everyone. Okay, a penguin's many feathers are small and stiff. They form a warm and waterproof covering. In really cold places, penguins have extra layer of long down feathers underneath. They also have thick layers of fat to keep them warm. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about this page and make it make sense to you. So because penguins are in extremely cold waters, okay, we're talking about waters that if we even put our finger in, our finger would probably freeze. They have a special oil, okay, on their feathers. Okay, and if you ever touched a penguin, I haven't, but I've seen videos of people touching penguins, they kind of feel this special oil. Okay, the oil makes their feathers waterproof. Okay, so the best way to talk about this, and we'll do it in class if you're in school, but we'll take some Vaseline. Okay, and if you're home, you can do this. You put some Vaseline on your skin. Okay, just spread it out. You put it in water. You'll see that your hand won't get wet in those spots. It will have like driplets of little water. Okay. And basically because the Vaseline makes your skin waterproof. That's basically what penguins have on their feathers, so that no water goes in. So when they come out of the water, they're not soaking wet, right? If I was to go take a shower right now or it rained, what would happen to my hair? It would get soaking wet. That is not happening with penguins because they have oil on their feathers. Okay, they also have thick, thick, thick layers of fat known as blubber. Can everyone say blubber? Good. Okay, they have thick layers of blubber to keep them warm because again, they're in really cold conditions. Now, some of the penguins that live in Australia, New Zealand, the Galapagos Island, they're not gonna have as much blubber as let's say an emperor penguin because an emperor penguin's in a colder area in Antarctica. Okay, guys, so let's review real quick some body parts of a penguin before you go off on your own. 1, black backs. 2, white bellies. 3, they have a beak. They have a crest. Good. They have oil or waterproof feathers, okay? So they have oil on their feathers that are waterproof. They have blubber, big fat, right? They also would have a beak. They have a nose. They have eyes. They have tails. And they have webbed feet. All right, guys, in Google, you're going to label the body parts of a penguin, and we will be back tomorrow to learn a little bit more. All right, scientists, give yourselves a big cowboy clap. Yeah! Great job, everybody. See you soon.